Hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Welcome to the stream. I hope people can see the notification and stuff. I should be live right now, but shoot me a message in the chat so I have confirmation. There is some construction work going on in the apartment right behind this wall. So you may hear from time to time some construction noises. They're throwing things in a truck out front right now, I think. I don't know if my microphone picks it up, but I'll keep an eye on it. It doesn't seem like it does right now. You're live and you're all good. Thank you very much. All right. So today we're going to be making presets. I'm working on my new preset pack for Serum Psychedelic Essentials Volume 4. For those that don't know, let me open up the new Serum over here. I already have 3 packs of those. So here we have the Volume 1 pack, I believe. And then this is the Volume 2 pack here. I have, of course, have them in different folders and in different setups and whatnot. And then I have the Volume 3 pack over here. And now I'm currently working on Volume 4. As you can see, we just got started. And I need to make a lot more presets. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Sharktastic, welcome. Mind B. Anthony Durant, welcome as well. Iggy Ozil, long time no see. How are you doing? I've started work on a preset over here, which I want to include. It sounds like this. Nice combination between the atonality and the FM over there. What I need to do still is assign 2 more macros here, and then the mod wheel. I think the mod wheel will replace this functionality over here of the pitch. So we can set that up right now. We'll go here, inverted and curve. What we're doing here is we're telling it to, if the mod wheel ever turns up more than 0%, to immediately turn off this modulation over here. And I think this has to be unipolar for this to work. And now we can copy over the settings right here and then go to the same modulation, again unipolar. And now what that means is that the module, as soon as you turn it up, it will overtake the automation that you have here and apply its own automation. Therefore you can, or its own modulation, therefore you can overtake the modulation and you can determine the characteristics of the sound yourself. Sound, of course, already has a pitch bend there. This is more if you want to make your own automations. Say that you want to have like a short modulation of a bar, and then you want over time that to rise up. Basically, you have 2 pitch controls, and it's very easy to do that. Purple Waves, how are you doing? Sky Music, amazing job on your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Thanks. I've joined a software job, which makes me full-time busy with it. Miss streams and chatting here. That's unfortunate. I mean, it's fortunate for you that you got a job that hopefully is a cool job. Software job seems to be cool. But yeah, sometimes a job like that takes up so much time that you don't have time for other things. Anyway, I want to try like a very low frequency comb filter on this. I would like to somehow be able to tie this to the pitch. Is it cool if we add ambience to this and we do it like very low frequency? That might be a cool effect if we inverse this, I believe this is, yeah, 16 bars. So we're going to make this 4 bars, so it's a little bit faster. And it's just going to modulate like this. Interesting. We can pull this glitch, and we'll also do the same for the resonance here. That way it also goes up. I think I like the tonality of the minus more. James Whitlaker, how are you doing? Welcome. I'm on the holidays for 3 weeks now. Nice. Hope you enjoy your time. Let's see, we probably want a little bit of dimension on something like this. The texture on this patch is crazy. Thank you. I just had a connection issue, I think. At least it is looking like it. So the stream turned off for a little bit. I did update my OBS. As you can see over here, this all looks different from those that remember the last version of OBS that I sometimes showed on stream. So I can rule out OBS as an issue in my connection issues and that kind of thing. So that's unfortunate. That means that it's probably my internet that is having the issue, which is what I suspected. Which means that hopefully in the new apartment, when I get new internet, this will be fixed. I don't know if I can get it immediately, but hopefully we'll get that sorted as soon as possible. I'll take 2 weeks off in August. I saved paid holiday for festival season. Nice. I also have 1 festival more to go. I'm taking a little bit longer off. I'm going to my parents first for a couple of days, maybe like half a week, something like that. And then I go to WoW Festival near Orivieto. And then I move, then I go back here on the 18th or the 19th. I think the 18th is when it stops. So that is when I take the train and go back up to Cremona here, where I live. And then I have to move house before the 1st of September. So that means that I have to get all of the contracts in place and all of that stuff, light, gas, that kind of thing, which is annoying, and it's a little bit short notice. I hope that I can sort that situation out, but that means that I need to work a lot in advance in order to get everything prepared, all of the videos out and all of that kind of stuff, so that I can just go out and I don't have to worry about immediately having to film in a new apartment. I can set up nicely. I have that week to carry everything over, and then I also need to prepare everything for the break that I'm taking. So in the coming weeks I have a lot of work to do. Anyway, I think the last thing that may be nice is a little bit of aliasing on here, so some downsampling. Might be cool to take this pattern over here and randomize around that. So here we have 2. Wait. Oh yeah, you have to hold Alt here. And then we have one here. I'll make it nice later, so that it's nice to edit. There. And then here, I just want like semi-random positions. these two, yeah, okay. And then this like that. And then this one can go directly like that. And I believe now we can set this to the drive and to get a little extra sparkle out of that. Thanks, yeah, software seems good, but environment is a bit wild, as in every job. But music must go on anyways. And good luck with moving to a new apartment. Thank you. It's going to be, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be all right. So shouldn't be that big of an issue. I think I want this before here so that it gets a little bit of that texture too. Would be nice to have some slow movement on there. Just a little bit like this. Would it be cool to maybe have some movement on here as well? Modem is currently the peak point of underground sidetrend subgenres, really huge production. I've seen it, yeah. It looks very, very cool. Maybe for next year, I can put that on my bucket list. Or on the list of festivals to attend. I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind on that yet, of course. We'll have to see how everything goes. I want a little bit of high frequency stuff here with the chorus. I think if we combine two modulations here and here, we can get something cool. Cool. I think we can get some cool tones out of that. Okay. Equals pitch. And then we go here. Let's see, does that sound like a name that I have already? Yes, it does. Do I like that? I think I like that. Because it's all, when you load it up like this, without anything, it's basically a bunch of sine waves. So that makes sense. Okay. Let's see. What I want to do is just continue making a bunch of different things. Maybe I'll go back into a baseline that is a little bit more progressive for the next one. This is, yeah, D sharp. Let's go to G sharp for this, just so that we have a different tonality as a reference. Wait. E, F, F sharp, G sharp. Don't worry, this will make sense soon. There's another way of enhancing the transient a little bit with the harmonics. I just heard police kinda sucks at modem. Oh, yeah, it's in Croatia. I've never really heard anything about Croatian police at festivals. To be honest, as you probably know, I haven't been in the scene that much, and I have only been to 2 festivals yet, so my experience is pretty limited. We did get stopped at Burning Mountain before we got in, and they checked all of our bags and they checked everything. I didn't have anything on me that they could have an issue with. And the other guy that I was that I met on the train, who they initially stopped and that I was following because we were sticking around, he knew me, and he got stopped. He had 15 grams of hash with him, I think, or something like that, and they just let him keep it because they were just looking after the harder kind of stuff, the real bad stuff. They were very relaxed. They were joking with us. They had like a dog that went through it, and then they manually went through every item, and then we had to put it all back together there at the station. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but luckily no issues with that kind of stuff. And then once the festival starts, they do sometimes do like a check in the town, but they're very relaxed there, no big issues, and that's in Switzerland. Okay, we have a little bit of a different vibe. Let's turn off the MIDI clips because I don't really know what I'm going to be making yet. I really like just jumping in with nothing and just seeing what I get out of it. Maybe not solo here. Let's see, maybe a lead kind of thing. It's based on luck a bit. Yeah, I think that's true. I think, of course, every country has a different approach to it. I know for a fact that here in Italy, they're not really that happy with it. But I believe for weed, you only get a citation. Like if it's a small amount for personal use. Let's double it with a saw wave. Could be cool to have a gliding lead out of this. I don't want to do what you always end up doing, and that is putting like a phaser on this and distortion. Maybe if we can get some cool asymmetrical distortion in here, that could be nice. We're going to go for asymmetrical distortion, which means that negative values end up becoming positive in this setup. We'll get some gritty tones out of this by going like up and down like this. You get almost like an FM kind of sound. We can even mix between two different ones if we want to. Let's do some crazy stuff over here and then just mix between the two graphs. I do need to have it in the middle over here because that's the zero crossing. So that is important. Here again we'll go for a bunch of squigglies. And maybe something like this. And now we should be able to mix between the two distortions. Should I play in a melody for this? I think I will. Just writing in the rhythm here for now. We are at a pretty high BPM, so let's go to a normal BPM for me. It could be cool as a melody to just do like this. That's cool. I like that. It sounds a bit too wide in my opinion. Yeah, we're going to fix it up later a little bit more. I first want to get the major aspects of the sound right, so part of that is going to be the reverb and delay. Of course, 1/8 dotted is the most popular, so we'll set that. I also like to tie the feedback as well as the length to my ambience macro over here. Might be cool to do it with a sine wave, what I want to do. We can use the mod wheel here to do the same trick that we did before, which I do for every preset, to assign the mod wheel over here. I think we had it at 75, this one. We do now. You can dial in the width that way. I think I would like to have this move as well. Maybe that is going to be a little bit too crazy. Of course, we need to make this longer in order for us to check. It's a bit too harsh for your taste. We can still EQ some of the stuff out in the high frequencies if we have to. But first, as I said, I want to get all of the controls in there and then I'll finalize the preset. Maybe a bit of FM in here to change the tonality. Let's just see what this does. Doesn't really seem to make a lot of difference. I think most of the tonality is going to come from this thing over here, so. Maybe we need to make one a little bit more aggressive here by giving it more spikes, and then we'll have the other one a fewer spikes, because I think we also had some of those spiky things that we've been doing on the other one. Sometimes it spasses out a little bit, as you can hear. Now we have a little bit of that harshness control. Once it becomes a little bit more washed out in where all of the high frequencies are, we get a little bit less high frequencies. Progressive sidetrance is a little bit losing its momentum. To be honest, you didn't really see that when you were at the festival. In Burning Mountain, there was a lot of progressive and people really liked it. And then at the later hours, you could see when the darker stuff or the more full-on stuff came on, and even at very late hours, the high-tech and stuff like that, the whole dance floor emptied out. So where I went, in the one festival that I went, it was a little bit the opposite. But the other one that I'm going to, WoW, is a little bit more full-on, a little bit more underground. So we'll see, maybe it's very popular there too. Of course, there will be more underground music there because it's an underground festival, I guess. I said I didn't want to do the phaser here, so we still need to add 2 knobs here in terms of our modulations. I don't think any of this had any effect on the sound, to be honest. Maybe if we remap some of this, we can get a grittier texture out of it. By doing some crazy stuff here, maybe. Sound doesn't really seem to care. My theory is that it doesn't really matter what we do in front of it. Maybe some noise. Is there a way to gate here? Right? Yeah, you can do... with the envelope, of course. What am I talking about? This is cool. I like a little bit of noise in here. If you take the noise texture out, it's sounding like an Electric Universe type of lead. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for here with the grittiness of the sound. It's nice that you can play it melodic lead, so that is what I'm aiming for. I don't want it to be so gritty or so distorted that anytime you play a melody it suffers. So that's why we tested with a melodic lead line like that. I think the last thing that I want to try is adding a click to it. So you get yourself a very, very short envelope like this. And then you just map that to master tuning like this. Nice. I'm still using FL, thinking out maybe going to Logic or Ableton. Any suggestions? Haven't looked into Bitwig much. Sorry if now is not the time to ask. Now is the perfect time to ask, because we're done with the preset, at least. My thoughts on switching DAWs. I have a video coming out about buying plugins tomorrow, which actually covers it. So it's interesting that you ask now, but I'll tell my thoughts anyway. Just give me a second here. When it comes to switching DAW, one of the things that you have to take into account is that anything that you have built up right now in terms of workflow is information that you have lost, meaning that if you have a very fast workflow, you're going to lose that. And that is my main issue, for example, by which I'm dealing with if I were to switch to Bitwig. I don't want to lose the speed that I've built up over the years producing in Ableton, and I'm really fast inside of Ableton. So if you have that same speed while you're working in FL Studio, then it's probably a bad idea to switch DAWs, because honestly, any DAW can make anything that you want nowadays. The DAW isn't a limitation on your creative ideas, it's just a limitation on how fast you can get those creative ideas into that DAW. And that is the important thing. If you're struggling with that, then maybe looking into a different DAW is something that is interesting. Otherwise, I would highly reconsider not switching DAWs. If you are fast getting the sounds that you want and getting them in the right place that you want and mixing the way that you want and all of that stuff, if everything that you want to do music-wise can be done in a fast way inside of the DAW that you have, then it's probably best to stick with that for workflow reasons. I wouldn't switch to Logic or Ableton if you are speedy enough with FL Studio. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if it doesn't. Exactly, I don't want to lose. Sorry. Exactly, I don't want to lose my workflow, but I feel it would be worth it for me. Sound quality alone. Logic sounds very professional when I have used it compared to FL Studio sound. The sound between DAWs does not change. The DAWs don't really have their own sounds. They have their own workflow, which can lead to using different sound design and stuff like that, and using different tools in different ways. But the actual sound that is coming out of it, if I were to make this sound, this MIDI clip, and put it inside of FL Studio and I load the same preset and I volume balance everything and I make sure that the processing is exactly the same, then it will sound the same. FL Studio is not less professional. Yeah, no, it's being used in all kinds of music genres to make very professional music. Like Martin Garrix has had billions of views using only FL Studio. So the tools that you use to make something do not really dictate how successful that thing is. They just have an impact on how you can implement your vision into the computer. So the reason that you're citing now is not a reason for me that I would switch, because I don't think that that's even a factor. I just think I screw the mix up more in FL than Logic, so Logic tunes come out more full. Even that is something that should be a workflow concern for you and not a switching concern, because you're throwing away basically every muscle memory that you have built up over, I don't know how long you have been producing. Maybe you've been producing for a month and you're still very new to this. But if you have been producing for a couple of years, you have built up already muscle memory, you have built up an organization and all of that stuff. And the workflow maybe can hinder you, but there's probably better ways around that than switching DAW, because that is the most aggressive way of changing up the workflow. You could even experiment with exporting stems like I do, for example, and then mix them into a different DAW. I export all of my production stems into files and then import them in Reaper, and I mix my tracks in Reaper. To be honest, it has too much steps. The things you should keep under control is getting out of hand. It's really hard to keep organized. That is why mixing in FL is hard. That is kind of true, but if you are familiar with that workflow, I think that is still worth it over switching DAWs. I remember for me, it took me almost a year to get back up to the production speed, or the speed and the level that I was when I left FL Studio. After maybe 4 years of using FL, I switched to Ableton. And it took me a year to get so used to the DAW that I was writing the music at the same speed as I was in FL Studio. Cubase gives you louder bass, hence the name Cubase. That is the one exception to all DAWs sound the same. That is true. Hello Guido, welcome to the stream. What did we have the mod wheel set to? Filter, I think? Oh no, stereo width. Thanks, guys, for the great insight. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Or hopefully I could. Maybe the things that I've said actually prevent you from having a better workflow. I don't know. At the end of the day, we don't really know, right? Unless we try. So there is still always you can always go for it. If it depends a little bit on how you want to produce. It depends also if you're a hobbyist or a full-time professional. For professionals like me, it is a little bit more impactful because it has almost always a direct impact on revenue, right? Like if I'm switching DAWs and I'm less efficient in creating videos, in creating music, in creating products for a while, then that has an impact on how much content I can make and stuff like that. And that would have like ramifications for my revenue, for my income. But if you're just a hobbyist producer and you're just doing it for fun, then you can also mess around a bit more. So in that case, it may just be interesting. It may just be more fun to switch DAWs. At the end of the day, music production has to stay fun as well. It is hopefully the biggest reason for us to produce is to have fun and to do something that we like. But sometimes you have to make some considerations on which tools to use and what it means when switching tools. Okay, I want to try something that I saw today in a video by Mushi Mushi. That is how I know him, but let me see if I can find it. Adrenachrome. This guy over here. We chat a lot. I actually want to talk about something that we chatted about before. I'm going to pull that up later. But first, the video that I saw is cleanest squelches in Serum here. And I want to see if I can make a patch in that same vein. Obviously, I don't want to just copy the patch that he has and sell that. But I want to try some cool stuff with very low octave FM, which is what he did to make squelches. And we're basically going to try something very similar. So what happens is if you set up something like this, you can get some very cool, very low tones. We could go even lower here. Okay. We do something like that, and now we send it through a bandpass. And you can get squelches if we gate this, for example. That is pretty cool. I've been mixing for a while. I have so much to learn, but is it worth praying or seeking mastering, or can it be done ourselves with the right tools? I don't have the confidence in the final product, and getting it mastered would give me the confidence to release some things. Well, when it comes to, first of all, you don't, like, good mastering isn't a requirement. You can release ideas and you can release music that isn't perfect. That is one of the things that I have had to maybe struggle with for a little bit. I've released some stuff that, looking at it now, I'm not happy with it. But at the end of the day, it's just going to show my musical progression. Having that stuff out there early is a nice way of letting, like, the audience see how you're progressing over time, if you want to build up a fan base, right? And that is one of the things that I like to do. I'm building up the YouTube channel and whatnot, and having on the side the music that is also progressing with that, I think is an interesting way of showing that I'm getting better at production and all of that kind of stuff, and the mixing and the mastering as well. Like even some recent releases of mine, listening back to them even now, because those were mastered maybe a couple of months ago when I just had the monitors, I've started to get used to them more and more and more. And all of that stuff, of course, has an influence on how you master things and how you're listening and what the final product is going to be. But that doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, as a musician, you're just improving. That being said, if you want to get stuff mastered by somebody else, it does give you a better idea of what your music could become if you did get good at mixing and mastering. If you get it mixed by somebody else, like me, for example, I offer mixing services, then you can get an idea of what you're going to get in terms of, how should you say it? Like what your music is going to sound like once it's done or mixed and mastered professionally. So that does give you the right idea. That being said, you can do it yourself. It takes a lot of time to learn. It takes a lot of time to learn how to listen. That is the most important part. It's not so much the tools you use, it is how you apply those tools. And in order to do that, I'll give you the same tip that I give everybody on this thing. And that is to continuously listen to other people's work. And the way that I do that is, at least for half an hour before I start my day, I listen to other people's music. I have a playlist on my Spotify that I just put on. I'll put on like 3 or 4 tracks. Of course, it's always installing. And now it's crashing. I wanted to show the playlist, but here we go. So this is my playlist. It's somewhere on my Discord server. You'll be able to find it as well. I have this massive list of all of the reference material, all of the stuff that I like. And I just use that to kind of tune my ears to get into the right mood for production. If I'm mixing or mastering anything, it will be an hour of listening. And you just do that every day for a long, long time. And at some point, you're just going to get an idea of what the music is supposed to sound like. That's cool. I think by changing the octave over here, we can adapt or change the tonality of it. Maybe it's cool to do that continuously. So we remove this one and we apply it to the coarse pitch here instead. Would it be interesting to be able to turn off the FM? I don't think it would be. The gating is just, I think, temporary. Maybe we'll make a more interesting loop out of this. Let's just quickly try something here. Ooh. I had the idea of making the shapes in advance for all of the sequences that I wanted to make, so just spend like a day drawing out sequences like that, but I actually ended up just not doing that because it felt like too much work and it would be uncertain if a certain sequence would fit for a certain sound. I think actually with a bit of distortion and a bit of compression, that can become very cool. I understand I will need to get the ball rolling and post some things. I am progressing, looking back and getting better just a ways to go when I compare. Yeah, that's always, I mean, it's really hard to get to the point where you're like actually professional. I would even say that the stuff that is out now of mine is below that level. You can definitely hear that there's differences between like my recently released stuff and the real professionals that have been doing this for 20 years. And that is acceptable. That is normal. If I have been making psytrance for 5 years now, and I've been producing for 12, so of course I'm not as in tune as a guy that started in the 90s and has been producing and has been making a career out of it ever since. Right? So if you compare those two things, those two people's work, you're going to hear the differences. I wouldn't expect nothing less. That shouldn't be discouraging for you. That shouldn't mean that you shouldn't post your stuff and, you know, just get your stuff out there and hopefully make some people happy with your music. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Even if nobody listens, if you get satisfaction from having your music out there, then that should be the sole reason to get your music out there. Interesting sounds. I like it. We could maybe make this slightly more interesting by FMing from the sub with another sine wave. I liked where 15% was. And then the final thing that I want to do is filter cutoff for the mod wheel. Mod wheel, I can copy over this so that we have the exact same range in terms of the value. We'll clean it up with a high pass so that it's mix ready. Cool. There's a similar YouTube channel named Collective Intelligence. I wonder if that's you or not. Somehow I'm reminded he had an alter ego starting with Mind Word 2. No, that's not Mind B. Mind B is one of the people that I started, or that together we started Eclipse Sound Syndicate. So he's on the label that I'm also on. I do know who you mean, though. He's an Australian Collective Intelligence. I don't know what his pseudonym is, but he comes, or he has a Discord server where he has a different name. So maybe that's what you remember. Indeed, very dirty. Just to test. Oh, I want to pitch bend this, of course. Because the pitch bend also changes the speed of the FM. Because this is also pitch bending. That's very interesting. That's very cool. We could untrack oscillator B, I think. Right? That sounds very cool. I like that. Oh, I have to make sure that everything is turned down, of course. There we are. Dada, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? I hope you will enjoy all of the cool sound design things that we're doing here. And maybe even give me some hints. Think I want to go with another sequence. I do think that I want to have like a sequence heavy pack in here, because I think those are the most interesting part of the pack. For my wavetables, I am sticking with mostly using everything that is available in the factory stuff. Might be cool to do like a vowel thing. See if we can get some talking out of this. What if we sample and hold this? I personally don't like to use the chaos oscillators unless they are in sample and hold, because I find them very annoying if they're not. Let me give you an example of what I mean. If I turn off sample and hold, it seems to stay around the same area here. It seems to repeat the same modulations, right? But on sample and hold, maybe if we double that up with the same modulation on here. I think I like the texture that we get from retro speaking more, but I want that to be in the stereo. Wait, might be cool to do this with note on randoms so that we can make it into a synth as opposed to this. I should also recategorize one of those packs that we have, or one of those sounds. Give me 2 seconds here. Because then I can make the right difference between synth and lead. Because a lead is something that should be played with melody, and a synth is just going to be something that you should play on the root note. Of course, once I make the video on it, then I can actually explain all of that stuff in the video. But for now, we're just going to set this up as a synth, meaning that it just stays on one random note as long as you hold the note. I think I can normalize this. I'll have this a little bit more narrow. I kind of want like that glitchy kind of sound out of that, glitchy vocal sound. You know, when you chop up vocals and you glitch them up with something like I Wish? This is kind of the same idea. Let's make like a 1-bar sequence over here. Does that make sense, having like a bottom basis to it for it? Because now it feels sometimes like it's just very noisy. I I do like the sound of just the one oscillator, so that's nice having option between the two. We'll go dotted on these. It is always in the same spot, which is a bit annoying, having all of this noise here. Wait, let me just temporarily bypass the modulator. Oh, you can do it like that. I think up until 10, and then we remove everything after. That's nice, and then again we have to set up this here. Now it has much less of those moments where it's like very noisy, so that's nice. It does mean that the wavetable has to be saved with the preset, meaning that it's a little bit bigger in size, but that's not an issue. Nice. I like that. We could probably do some more. Could you, in an interesting way, maybe sync this? That does work like a format shift. That is what I thought would happen. Okay, so I want to see where 2% is on here. Somewhere around there. So that means that we can do an octave format shift kind of thing. That's very interesting. So sync 1.5 over here. And then same deal. Yes, that fits on the label. That is really nice. I hate that that's not linear. We can fix that though. Turning it up by 30 should get it more linear, I think. Maybe that's a bit too much. 15. They have to be the same, because we want the same shift for both of them, of course. It's an actual format shift. That's so interesting. That's so cool. Did anybody know that? I'm mainly asking because Dada is here, and he might be the perfect person to ask these kind of things, because he has probably used this technique in one of his wavetables before, given how much he knows about the wavetable stuff. You can literally see the format shift here in the spectrum. I think it might even be proportional because at the end of the day, it's just doubling the pitch because we're going up to 2, meaning that it just doubles the waveform. Of course, with the smoothing over here. And I guess because it's like almost like pitching up in a sense, that is what's causing the format shift, meaning that the format shift is also proportional to the frequency that it's at. Like it's actually pitch shifting, not like frequency shifting, where it's not proportional. I often use things on wavetables. Yeah, but did you know that it performs basically the same action as a format shift? Because that's what it really looks like over here. Like we can compare, right? Let's get a format shift in here. Let's put this on here, and I'm just going to pitch it up 12 over here as well, which would also be a doubling of the of like this formats, which we're also doing here because we're going to 2% sync, which is an octave higher in terms of pitch. Of course, this is a spectral tool, so it sounds a little bit different. It also has a little bit more artifacts to it. It's a little bit smoother, but the feeling is the same as going up like this. Format shifting involves changing these resonant frequencies without altering the fundamental pitch of the sound. I think that's happening because you can see the same harmonics over here in the lower part. It's just kind of where the peaks are that is moving up. Maybe the higher harmonics are actually moving up and we're not seeing that. But it looks like it's generating the same harmonics just higher up in the spectrum. Like it moves these peaks around a little bit higher. Of course, this stuff is a little bit higher, but these have a massive shift upwards. It sounds the same. It sounds very similar, yeah. It's not exactly the same. Like it moves up and down a little bit differently. I think part of that has to do with the way that we have to set up these to really work. But the effect is pretty much the same. Very interesting. I like that. Maybe a little bit of release on here would be nice. We'll make these like plucky. And then we'll take the mod wheel and overtake both of these modulations over here. Bam, bam. This should be a very easy setup because it's just 100% one way. It's not really changing a lot in the middle, is it? Let's remove these in the middle. Multi-selection, and then we'll morph spectral between them, I think. Cool. I like that. How long have I been streaming now? An hour 50 minutes. Nice. I wish is all together, right? What is the mod wheel is technically the format. The talking can be removed. I just need to I wish VST to see how it's. Okay, so there's a space in between. It was looking a little bit strange. I wished for this. Sounds kind of cool. To be honest, I don't know if any of the names are final. They probably are. I just want to give a funny, almost, I guess, name for the actual sound that is being used. So this is inspired by that I wish modulation effect that you sometimes hear on chopped vocals, where they glitch up the vocals and they maintain the same sound while still being like in pitch and whatnot. This is a very similar idea, a very similar vibe for that kind of thing. Cool. And look how few things we had to use. It's just all in the wavetable. Okay, of course I have to set pitch bend. Probably want to have this mono, and then we can save it. I'll go through at the end of making all of the presets once I'm finished with the whole pack with like a whole checklist when I check all of these things. And pitch bend and seeing if all of the macros are set all the way down and seeing if the mod wheel is assigned to everything. All of that stuff is important. I might also want to add velocity control as much as I can. Is there an easy way to do it though? Is there a way that I can set up velocity global amp, right? Okay, so that's not doing what I wanted to do. I wanted to be completely off. Effects, filter, level. Effects, filter level. It's the very bottom one. Okay. So now we know we should be able. Okay, easy. So now we have velocity control on this one. Cool. That is something that I'll have to do for each and every patch. Does it work when you velocity the global amp? It doesn't seem to work that way. For whatever reason, it wasn't going all the way down. Like it was changing the volume a little bit, but it wasn't going all the way down like I wanted it to. But I know of this trick where you can just use an effect that you're not using, set its mix down all the way, and then you can modulate the level over here. Because every one of them has like a level switch that you can see over here. I think it should still work if it's even hidden. Yes. So that's very interesting. You can set up velocity control to parameters that you don't see. But yeah, you can see the mix is all the way down, so it's not actually affecting the sound, it's just purely there for the level. I think I'll take a quick break for now, and then we're going to work on some more patches. Let me quickly check over here how many we are now. I'm aiming for around 100 to 120, so we're very, 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 very far from done, because right now we have 13, which is not a lot. Of course, there's going to be much more work that I'm going to be putting into it. It's not just being made on stream. I already started, as I said before, working on some things. We'll make a few ARPs after this, maybe some atmospheres, stuff like that. Might want to do some effects and drums as well for this one. But we'll have to see. For now, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll put on the mix that's released today. For anybody that hasn't seen the mix yet, I'll post a link in the chat so that you can go there and rack up some watch time maybe. But this is the mix. It starts off with a Mortec ID. So that is a track that is coming up and hopefully should release fairly soon. Depending on how like the final works on this track goes. It's not entirely finished, what you hear here, but it's pretty much like done. Sorry, I just saw something in the chat, but that's not something that I have to respond to, I think. I'll take a quick break, and then once we're roughly over here, maybe a little bit later, I'll be back, and then we'll just continue making presets. It doesn't seem to like the high definition. I wanted it to be higher quality. This is the only negative of doing the visual or playing it inside of YouTube. It may buffer. But this is the only place that I have it. Unless... Wait. I can put it up locally, right? Yes. So now I go here. Get this up. And now I can go for a break. Okay.
One of the beautiful things is that in learning mindfulness, you start to actually become conscious of that. The gates between the worlds open. One of the beautiful things is that in learning mindfulness, you start to actually become conscious of that. Ordinary people.
Hello. Can take that off, take that away. We can get back into it. For those that are just joining, we're just making some presets today. And we're having fun sound designing. I think I want to go for an atmosphere. We can use multiple instances of Serum and maybe even duplicate this over so that we have some context. Say that that's our context. There may be other interesting ways in which we can use the sync. Maybe on this kind of stuff. If we modulate both of these. And then maybe go through a high pass so that it doesn't ring out when it's low. That is kind of interesting. It is very loud, sorry for that. You would of course want to have that drained in reverb. I think I'm going to enable the reverb fully and then just do delay as our ambience, and then we'll have like a very slow delay on it. Maybe even difference between the left and the right. And then go here and here. And Pete, how are you doing? Welcome. Give us those Gleeby DB alien sounds. That's what I'm doing. Skidu Sidhu Sidhartha. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I know I am, so you don't have to correct me, but I know that is mispronounced, probably. But welcome to the stream. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Just getting myself a drink here. And then we'll see what we can do with this. Both of them are 4 bars now, so that is not very interesting. How far are we getting up here? To like number 8. So let's take everything after 9 and remove it on both of them. And then we can make use of the full range here. And then we should be able to crossfade between these. That could be interesting. So that it's... That looks very cool, what's happening here. Let's see how it sounds on both of them. That's cool, I like it. There's probably some cool stuff that you can do with that. I am going to tie this to the ambience, I think, at the end of the day. I think having a dry version like this would be very nice for people, because then they can put on their own reverb that they want. But that sounds very cool. We'll add some movement to it with the high pass filter like we did before. Like this, so that it moves up and down. I want this to sit over here then, and the ability to turn that up. And then we set this to the same macro, meaning that by default it's low. And if you add this to it, you get some movement. Might be cool to drive it a bit more in that case. so that it feels equally loud. What is my favorite reverb? My favorite reverb is M Turbo Reverb. It's not really a fair comparison because this is basically every reverb algorithm that you want put in here, and even then you can design your own algorithm if you really want to. So this does everything in terms of creating reverb. So it's basically every reverb that you'll ever need put into one plugin. So that's why it's my favorite. Maybe with a sub oscillator in the filter. I mean like this. You can get some noise out of that. Would be cool to maybe have like a washing sound here. Maybe every 1.5 bars and just have it like wash in. Like this. Sorry, I'm getting some hiccups. You can assign this to a macro so that people can put that in however they want. So this will be the wash, and this will be the movement. Of course, they are going to have influence on each other. That's cool. I think I want to filter this more with some pretty heavy filtering. I think a bandpass and a notch would be cool. Maybe just a sine wave doing a bar on there. I think we'll combine a couple of these. It's a very nice, eerie texture. I like it. Filtering. I like that. That's like a very eerie kind of sound. Maybe let's have it come in. Cool. The final thing that I want to do is use the mod wheel to... We have differences between these two, right? I think the biggest influence is going to be the sync. So we'll use that on the mod wheel. Meaning that here we want mod wheel and mod wheel. Up, up, and then invert, invert. I'll have to copy this value here because it's not 100. And then we just do the same thing here. For wavetail, no, not wavetail position, the warp. because it's the sync that we're using. Yes. Might be cool to have both of these unsynced here. Have them run at slightly different tempos. Probably have this one a bit faster and then this one slower. Because this is the sync one. Because what we can do is you can increase the speed here with the movement. Cool. What equals, what is this? This is the tone of the sound. Think that's a good name for it? Let's maybe just put a few in here. I have to save it with everything down, of course. And it would probably be cool to be able to glide here. I want to see if any... This increases the volume a bit. But it's always a little bit low in volume now. Maybe not. Okay, I think like that, maybe a little bit shorter release. And now we can save it. Okay. I really like that. Let's try making another one that complements this. Maybe a little bit of a warmer one is what I want to go for. I think there's a trick that we can do by having an extra oscillator here just with a small list of harmonics. Ooh, that's exactly the opposite of what I wanted to do. Here. And then like this, I think. We have that as part of the sound. Like a little bit of a notch right below there, and then a low pass filter here, and a high pass filter here. I think it's still too sawy, so I'm going to. I don't like how phasey it feels. I think we could fix that by doing. Yeah, you're always going to have that phasey sound to it. Of course, unless we add maybe more effects to it. Because it's really in the high frequencies that you hear it. So now with extra more, I think if you once you add the reverb and delay to this, you can still hear it. Like that very high frequency phase stuff. It's definitely this thing that's doing it. I'm just going to remove slowly extra harmonics until it stops. I just want the warm tone of it. I don't actually want the phasiness of it. Like that. We'll have an easy grid tonality thing over here. That's nice, but as an atmosphere, we probably want this to fade in over a long time. It sounds really good at higher octaves. It almost has like a violin character to it. I think we want to morph here. And we can probably set it up best with the mod wheel on the filter cutoff, so that that's the parameter that you get to control with the mod wheel. It's kind of the tonality of the sound, I guess. Maybe a bit of FM could be nice on here. If we do something like a triangle. Or maybe we remap this. What if we go... That really changes the tonality. So what if we do that for both? We just have like a waveform flip in here. The texture of it. Do we get interesting results if we set it like halfway? Yeah, I guess we get some distortion tones out of that. Cool. I like that. That means that we don't even need... Ah, maybe that's what we heard. No, because we are filtering it. Some stability in here with this. You get like a nice zooming sound out of that if you want to. I think in terms of options, that is pretty nice. Of course. Probably get some cool things out of that. Probably also nice with a long glide here. Cool. I like that. When I write filter here, I mean like clear filter movement. I don't consider notch like clear filter movement. It's not like a filter. Is this the one that we did unsynced? Because then I'm going to call it endless tones. If not, I'm going to unsync it after. For any LFOs that we're using. Yeah, we didn't unsync this, so I'm going to unsync that. We don't really have a lot of modulation on here. Could maybe do with some flanger. And get some texture tones out of that. That's good. Ambience off when we save it. Okay. Cool. let's make a lead sound here. Oh, I want to put this in the track so that it's part of our context. I like how it becomes in rhythm after a while. That's nice. Yeah, let's go for another sequence. I'm just going to go for 16 note synth thingies. I have some cool ideas that we can use in regards to very fast modulations. Again, we'll need, of course, an instance of Serum. And then I think the way that you do this is you generate a tone over here, like a very short, clicky tone. Maybe with like a comb filter like this. Set the envelope really short. Something like that. And that then goes through a phaser over here, like the 48. And we're going to modulate that filter with the noise oscillator, but we would need to set up a shape probably for that. Like this. Oh, you can then drag it in here and use it as your mod source by setting it up 48 semitones. And then it goes here. I think we want it faster, so 60 semitones then. I guess that's kind of it. Maybe too much of this. Yeah, now we kind of get that bouncy tone that I was after. Okay, so note on random over here. I guess for this one we want to have the note on random up here. But a different one, of course. Okay, cool. That is a very high octave for this sound. Let's duplicate this over here. I like the stereo effect that we're apparently already getting from this. Sounds very interesting. Maybe it is a cool idea to have this move up and down slower. Maybe like even 16 bars. Starting off high and then moving low. Nice. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but at the end, it always comes together. Right, like I had the idea in my head, but it took a while to get the two filters tuned properly, I guess, or working in harmony the way that you want them to. But it seems to be good now. That sounds nice. Thank you, Dada. I'm glad you like where this is going. I like it too. Are there interesting things that we could do here? Sometimes it looks like the thing crashes, but it doesn't. At least looking over at OBS. Maybe I don't catch it in time, because nowadays the indicator for whether it's good connection or not is a little bit different and a little bit smaller. So maybe sometimes I have connection issues and I don't catch it. It doesn't really seem to care much about the remap, at least not in its current state. Maybe if we go like shark teeth like this and have every one of them a different shape. Let's say that we map this here and then compensate for it with the drive. It doesn't really seem to care still about this. So that's strange. Maybe an extra layer on top of it will be more successful in terms of... I just am looking for ways to alter the sound in interesting ways. Okay, interesting. I like what is happening with the pitch changes. So maybe if we fully modulate it just up like this. What if we make this modulation also tied to the noise oscillator, because that is running fast now. And then we can switch between them like this. A little bit of compensation with the drive here. Cool, I like that. We then only really need to set up the mod wheel here, which I'm going to do on the phaser filter. So mod wheel needs to go to filter. I hate that you cannot scroll this, that you have to click here and hold. FX filter frequency, right? FX filter frequency, and then 34 on the modulation. Cool. That all fits. I want to set pitch bend here. Ooh. This is why we test different octaves, guys. Just playing it for 3 octaves below the register of the sub bass is what gives this patch the most interesting tonality, or one of the more interesting tonalities. I mean, I like this one as well. And then on the sub bass register, it's like this, which is really interesting. But 3 octaves below that, you get this very clean, almost atonal plucks out of it. Low octaves, yeah, that's why you test them. It's just a phase because it's based on a phaser. I hope that that's going to come across, that it's, I mean, it could also signify this thing over here, which really it isn't. It has to do with the fact that we're using a phaser. But I like to at least put little reminders in the title for my presets of what the sound actually contains in there. That way you may not remember exactly what a preset sounds like when you just look at it in a list, but you can at least hopefully find the right texture that you're looking for by just looking at the names in the list. Like if I go through version 3 You'll probably see that here, distorter, aggressor, this is flanger flow, it's probably going to have a flanger. This is a flute-based sound, a very glassy sound over here, probably a very lush sound. So in those kind of ways, I like to at least incorporate some of the, I guess, the main features of the patch into the name of the title of the patch. There are people that don't really do that, or maybe I have a hard time understanding it, but I like to do it in a way that it actually includes the technical terms so that it's really clear. Because some people, there are some in there that is just like lush or glass or something like that, which is just a description of a sound as opposed to an actual technique being used. But there are some people that do that for all of the presets, which makes it really hard to remember exactly what tonality it is, because those things like tonality are somewhat subjective. Like a comb filter is always going to sound like a comb filter, right? There is a specific sound that the comb filter has, but like a glassy sound, if I say glassy sound, you may have a different interpretation of that than I do, and just based off that, there may be differences in what you expect from a preset versus the sound that you actually get from it when you see the term glass being used to describe the preset. If you make it longer, you can hear the individual modulations of this shape going up and down. Does the pitch bend not alter the noise oscillator? Because it feels like this sounds different than this. Right? Maybe not. It feels slightly different in terms of tonality. So maybe that is interesting that we have the bandpass in here that alters some part of the tonality, but not in the same way that just changing the actual octave does. When it comes to my presets, I never really change these octaves. Like there's people that by default for their bass lines have this at -3 or -1 or something like that for the octave. I never do that because I always like to tune in MIDI, because it feels like that encourages testing different octaves for different tonalities like this. Like the difference between the patch in here now versus those 4 octaves below that we saw before. That is very cool, right? And if there's like a default octave that you would need to play it at, then it would make it may be a little bit harder to experiment with that. So personally, that is why I also have the pitch device here. It doesn't show the name, but that says pitch, and that allows me to basically always pitch it up and down octaves if I want to by just holding shift and going up and down with the arrows like that. And I feel like this is just the best way to experiment with different octaves as opposed to going into the synth, because changing the octaves here, I believe, can change functionality in terms of how the modulation works with respect to this. So for example, for the noise oscillator, if I change the pitch here, the noise oscillator is pitching up and down in the same way as the octaves go. Because for example, say that I want to pitch this up and this one another octave up, I cannot really do that because it only goes up 4 more semitones. So in this case, I could do that by just pitching it up here. And what we've learned before is that the bandpass seems to have a different texture on that. So there's another way pitching it up and down can change the tonality of a sound as opposed to really impacting the pitch, which is what happens if you play it at such a low octave. Cool. I'm going to turn that off for now as well. And then I think it's time for us to work on another ARP. So we'll try that. I think I can... Should I include some triplets in here? I think I will. For the ARPs. Here. Like this maybe? For the pitch. I can just modulate it up 12 semitones. How to snap to grid in the LFO section in Serum. You hold Shift, I think, right? Okay, so Shift is for making tiles like this. Alt is for snapping. So now I'm holding Alt and it just snaps to whatever grid that you set up over here. As you can see. As opposed to just moving it normally. And then Shift is drawing in steps based on the size of the grid. And Control is nothing. It makes points red, but I don't know what that means. Now stuff is broken, apparently. Do you know, Projector, can you type, for example, 1612 in the grid to have 16 steps X and 12 on Y? No. I think both of these are tied together. So the amount of horizontal and vertical steps is always the same. I think in Vital there is the possibility of doing that. And I'm almost certain that Faceplant also has the possibility of doing it like you want, where the X and the Y can have different grid sizes. But Serum, the X and the Y grid size are tied together, which is indeed a little bit annoying, specifically if you want to do arps like we are doing here. Because I can either set this to 12 and get an octave range and do triplets, right, like we're doing now, or I can set it to 16, meaning that I have 16 semitones of modulation, which is sometimes useful because then you can go a little bit higher than the octave, but it's sometimes a little bit annoying to set up properly, I think. It works. So you say that you go like this. Oh, no way. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it does alter it. Can I alter it back now? There we are. I want to turn this into like a hype parameter that just opens up a little bit of everything. Is it me or is it out of tune? It seems to be not exact enough. Oh, maybe what I need to do... You're right, I can do it to the semitones, right? Semitones go up by 12. Exactly, so we want this to be 50 exactly on both of these. That sounds a lot better. So this is hype. Okay. I think the hype will really work once you get the ambience in here. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Set up our ambience macro. For those that don't know, I always like to have presets that don't come with any delay and reverb initially, and always have the ambience parameter on the same spot so that you can always hear, I guess, the way the sound sounds with ambience, but I can put on delay and reverb outside of the plugin later. Of course, I would also like movements for just the filter alone. Are we going to implement a slide? I think I will. I think I will implement like a glide thingy here. You can do that by always setting this to X for all of the front points of the steps. And 12 down here. I think that should work once. Oh, no, that's annoying. Remove all destinations. These are still set to individual LFO buses. That's not good. Oh, how can I reset this? Remove modulations. I have to go through each and every one here and remove modulations again. I want them all on the same bus. Of course. So I have to remove everything here. And now if I reassign it here and then go all to the same bus, right? Yeah. The whole point is that we're able to create glide this way in a very interesting way by just offsetting the starting points of all of the individual steps here. With very high glide, you get a very wonky sound, but maybe that is cool in like a build-up if you're... That could be cool. I have both the flanger and the phaser on here. I believe I only want the... flanger on. Cool stuff for a build-up? I think so. If you want to use the coarse pitch, you have to type 12 semitones, 24 semitones, 36 semitones. Yeah, that's what I did. But it still stayed out of tune. Because it's only going to round to the closest modulation. It's going to round to 9 modulation, which is 12 semitones. Or that's the closest point that you can get to exactly 12 semitones up and down here. But I think these value ranges don't work well with the 0 to 100 value ranges that the modulation system uses. So for that reason, it doesn't get close enough and therefore it sounds out of tune if you modulate to certain particular notes, I think. But using the semitones seems to fix that. It just needs to stay within 12 semitones for that to work. Okay, final modulation here is probably going to be FM on both of these for some extra grittiness in here if we want. I'll set it to like 35 maybe. I always like to overdo modulations like this slightly for my own taste. So this would make it metallic, right? It also makes it very loud. So we're going to balance for that a little bit. Ah, the problem is the sub oscillator isn't pitching around. Ah, that's an issue. Yeah, and we can't use master tuning because master tuning is also the same as coarse pitch, and therefore we get strange out of tune sounds, I guess. I was hoping maybe pulse width modulation makes it sharper. Nines on both of them. Sharpen. I like how with a lot of my presets out of the box, with all of the macros down, it's going to sound very bad. But if you like play with it, you get actually different sounds out of it. That is really what I'm looking for every macro, and I like having the interaction between the different macros. So I set them up one by one, right? As you can see. But then once you start to play with the preset, you can hear that the interactions between how different macros are turning up and down, and what kind of different textures you get when you combine all of those things. That is where the real interesting modulations happen with a lot of these patches. Mod equals filter. Can quickly switch between tonalities that way as well, between pitches, I guess. There's like a sweet spot in here where the pitch change isn't really noticed because it isn't fast enough, but it also doesn't transition slow enough that you notice. I cannot notice it. I also like the slight saturation that we're seeming to get. Maybe I want a bit more of that with hard clipping. Cool stuff. It's been another hour and 20 minutes-ish. I think it's time for me to take another quick break. I have some more visuals for you to watch while I'm gone. Hey. Why is this not... There we are. Here. Okay, I need to get used to how to set it up like this. But that's okay. I'm going to take a quick break and then we get back and then I'll make a couple more presets. The next preset that I want to make is like a triplet bass line to go with the ARP that we just made. So that should be interesting. But I'll be right back and then we'll continue sound design.
can imagine everything anything
Right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me get out of here. There's 2 full screen modes in VLC Media Player. Little bit annoying, but I guess that's how it works. Okay, let's, for the fun of it, drag out a note of this. Maybe an octave higher. So this is just the basic sound. We've already save this, right? I'm just gonna save it again just to make sure that we can use it here, because I don't want to save it with the macros in other positions. Now we should be able to make a triplet bass line under this. And we're just going to go for like a progressive, groovy bass line. I think I'm gonna make another specific wavetable for this, which I do inside of Vital. The way that this works is that I go into my bass tables, I find the one that I like most, probably from a no subcategory here. Let's go with a 500 Hertz. That looks like a cool shape here. And then I find the texture that I want. Just, I guess, on looks, most of it. It doesn't really tell you how it's going to work here. But then what I have to do is I have to make a point of this position, remove the other two so that we have a flat version of that wavetable, and then you can add your frequency filter here. And this is going to be the actual envelope filter that we're going to use. So here we probably want the shape to be low, and we want it to use few harmonics. Maybe let's have 3 harmonics left here. And then we open it up, shape opens up, I guess fully, and the filter cut off something like this. Okay. You can probably see how we're going to be able to make a bass with that. I am going to lower the shape a bit more so we just get those harmonics there. Okay. Now I can export as a WAV file. Tables, user. Bass table 2. I've done this already once for the pack. So if I rescan now, we should already be able to see bass table number 2. And this is the wavetable that we just created. You can probably imagine how we're going to make a bass out of this. But it's actually pretty easy because everything is already stored in the wavetable. This wavetable is a full bass. The only thing it's missing is a sub bass, which we're just going to use a sine wave for. And then that sub bass is going to come in something like this. This should also set envelope 1/16. And then I actually need to push this up, I think. That's how it works. If we set I think we can set length parameters here. I think to synchronize all of them, you do like this, so that they all get a different value. You can maybe see this slightly moving here. And then we have the same -13 modulation value on all of them. And we can turn on triplet for all of them, so that you can make triplet basses out of it. This should now be a triplet bass. Let's give this patch velocity control here. And that's the basis of a wavetable bass. Somewhere. Do I get it first time? No, I don't. I'm very far off. One more click. There we are. Should be back now. I had another quick disconnect. But I was just saying that the bass is sounding a little bit resonant. And we're going to go back into Vital to fix that by slightly altering how the wavetable is going to work. I think if we just make the lower shape a little bit higher, we'll maintain a bit more of the harmonics, but it should be less resonant going into it. And here the shape, yeah, should be all up. And maybe even have this further. And now we go back to where we saved it. Can I save over it now? Does that work inside of Serum? Like, or is it still taking the file? I can save over it now. Yeah, cool. So if I rescan folder on disk and then go back to this, we should have a different wavetable now. Sounds nice. I like that. There was a trick that I used to do. I think we can, since this isn't going to be auto subcontrolled, we can use this thing over here for modulation. As opposed to volume B, we go for volume of the sub. And that's now the same, meaning that we have this oscillator over where we can do a cool trick with the stereo width, which I also did in another patch already in here, but I'm going to do it again. We're going to take the mid-range area here, and we're actually going to randomize this so that we just have a layer of harmonics here. Let's also make that nice and loud. That's going to be our mid-range layer. At least that is what I think I did. Let me quickly check the other bass. That is what I did. Ah, but this is a filter bass. Ah, okay. Yeah. Cannot really do this, I think. Unless in here Can't you randomize the phase of all of them, but with the same randomization? I think there's a way to do that, right? I know you can. Oh. I know you can right click over here and randomize all, but I want to use the same exact randomness on all of them. Is the goal. Oh, wait. Repeat bin group. Start to cursor position. Isn't there a way that you can copy the face from one frame? Let me just randomize this one. And then I don't know what I did there. I don't know what's happening. User here, base table 2. We go to the last frame. Randomize. Repeat bin group. Set face as this frame to all. That's what I want. Yeah, there we are. Nice. Okay, perfect. It's still telling me that I have connection issues. I hope that you guys are still here. This becomes our M-Stereo SPAD thing. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to actually high pass this thing. Or maybe even band pass it like this. And then we just need the stereo effect. And in order to do that, what we can do is we can pan it left and right in a really quick way. That is just going to introduce differences between the left and the right channel. And we'll do that with the noise oscillator. Turned up 68. And then this goes noise os. Okay. We want a clean transient. And then we want this to be set to the length to, oh, I'm sorry, this thing over here. And this is going to control volume. Do you hear now we have a nice stereo bass? And you can just dial it in however you want. And the fun part about this whole bass design is that everything is done in the wavetable. So this is completely clean. There's no need for resampling on this bass. And the whole pack, all of the basses, I am going to make it in such a way that you don't have to resample them. might be cool to add randomness to this, so that the starting point is always different for where it's going to be panned left and right. You have a little less predictability on the stereo field. It should still be very mono-compatible, this, because we're filtering it out here. It decided to be fully mono. How does that work? Oh, I'm putting it on the wrong channel. That got me very confused for a second. But yeah, this is a perfect stereo field. This is exactly what you want for a very progressive bass and anything in between. Cool. I like that. I think the final thing should probably be being able to open up the filter cutoff of the bass like this. Do I want to add sub-shifting to this? I think I'll do that. So sub-shifting is moving the sub-bass back or forth. I like to set it up so that we start with the less tighter version of the sub-bass, kind of like this. And then we go X, point, and X here. And we just move these things back a bit, and this one up a bit, not so much. Should be good now. Temporarily going to move all of this back so that we can save this again, because I felt like the delay wasn't really coming through. It's still not as coming through as, say, this one over here. guess it's still there. Cool. I like that. I like the sound that we got there. I think a few one-shots could be cool. Do I already have? I don't have one-shots yet. So there's a lot still to do. But it's the start of the pack, right? Okay, we're going to go with an FM setup. FM from B, and then we'll have basic shapes, and then this FM'd by the sub. Some double FM usually gets some gritty tones. Let's say that we do like a 2-bar thing here. That's the basis for our one-shot. What we could maybe do to make it more interesting is like opposing FM modulations. Make it thinner here. Should probably have maybe tone is a better description here. I'm going to set up, of course, a mod wheel for the filter cutoff here. Can dial in whatever other movement that you want, but it comes with a default one, which is really nice. We'll add delay and reverb. I like that. Now we need 2 more macros to actually make it interesting. Would be cool to not have not any depth in there, but maybe to chaos. How can you still hear the sound through that? It's fully wet. Apparently that doesn't do what I want it to. I like that it still stays under there, it's just extra bells on top. I would expect it, with it's fully wet, that you wouldn't be able to hear the metallic texture of the phaser. But isn't it true that the phaser doesn't fully phase cancel the signal, whereas a flanger does? Or a comb filter? Because I know that a phaser is also different in the kind of spectrum that you get from it. But I believe that, like, yeah, a phaser kind of looks like this, where it comes from minus infinity, it goes up to a peak, and then depending on how many poles it has, it goes up and down for a little bit, and then it goes down again. A flanger continues all the way up the spectrum, but it also goes up, and then when it goes down, it goes to actually minus infinity. Whereas a phaser, I don't think goes to minus infinity. It doesn't fully cancel even in the notches that it creates, I believe. So therefore, you should still hear the original sound if it's fully phased. Maybe it's different if we use... No, because even here... they don't go fully away. Like, the negative one, only this goes like so low that it's practically minus infinity. What was this on again? Bandpass. Yeah, you can still hear it. Interesting. I didn't know that. But I think that makes sense. If I think about it long enough, it starts to make sense in my head. Which is either a good thing or a bad thing. A flanger works by mixing the original signal with a delayed version of itself. Yeah, all of them do it in the same way. Like a comb filter and a flanger are very, very similar. I believe the difference between a comb filter and a flanger is that a comb filter doesn't fully cancel and a flanger does. Like the difference between the original signal and the delayed signal that it uses. For a flanger, those fully cancel at certain frequencies. And for a comb filter, it is slightly lower in volume, the delayed version, so it doesn't fully cancel, I think. Yeah, phaser works on the phase of the signal as opposed to just duplicating the signal over. But I I guess the technical question that I have is, I always thought that in the notches that the phaser creates, it would fully cancel the frequency out. Like it would act like a notch filter, right? Just like a flanger does in certain frequency ranges. Because a flanger goes to minus infinity. Meaning that it fully cancels because the normal or the original signal and the delayed signal that it uses are at the same level, and therefore certain frequencies cancel out. But apparently a phaser doesn't, I think. Like it doesn't fully cancel those frequencies that should be in notches. That should be in a notch. Which is interesting. That's not something that you normally think about. I want this to probably sweep up for a little bit of extra movement. This is a one shot, and this will be metallic impacts. I'm going to check how many files we have now. I think we've made 8 or 9 sounds today. To be honest, I'm pretty happy for that. I think I'll end the stream here for today because I have shorts to edit. I recorded shorts this morning. I've done something dumb. I've gotten so comfortable recording shorts that I can leave it until the day they're due. It used to be the case that I would record 5 shorts at the time in bulk, and I would publish those 5 shorts maybe a day or 2 after I've recorded them, because it took me a day to edit them, and then another day to get all of the posting down. But now I've done hundreds of shorts, and especially now that I'm doing 2 a day, it is becoming so routine that I record shorts like every 10 days. I record 20 of them, and then I'll be able to edit them on the day in such a way that I can just about get out the first one at 1:30, which today happened at 1:35-ish, because I was like 5 minutes late. It ended up being, but I can record in the morning and then edit and then get the first one out right when it's needed. And then from there, continue editing all of them, which isn't really a good thing, getting so comfortable, because any small hiccup in the process means that you're just too late with the shorts. So I should actually record them the day before the shorts I do, so that I have the evening to edit and then the next day to post them. But yeah, it's gone well. It's gone okay a couple of times that I didn't have the time to record it early, or like a day early, and I recorded it on the day and then posted it. But it's not fun because you're stressing the whole morning because you need to edit fast, and editing and speed, they don't really work well together, especially if you're working in Adobe software like I do. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. As I said, I'm going to edit some shorts and just have a chill evening. It has been really warm here the last few days. Today is a nicer day because it's slightly clouded, so the sun doesn't actually shine on the glass roof of my apartment. But if it does, it becomes really, really warm inside of the apartment. And that sometimes tires you out. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed. Feedback stream will be in 2 days, of course, on the Sunday on the regular. So hope that you can all be there. Also, for those that haven't seen it yet, new Eclipse mix is out right over here. The Sunset Psytrance mix by Projector. I'll once again link it here, so you guys can go check it out if you're interested in my mixing work, in my DJing work, and all of the different songs that we have on the label, of course. Then go watch this and follow that, and I hope you enjoy. Bye bye.